Okay, I'm doing a fuel pump replacement on my 92 Cherokee. And one of the things that's always bothered me about this Jeep is the way they did the trailer wiring. It's just really not very good. You know, they drilled holes down in the bottom and came up through here, then up under the bumper. So I've been wanting to fix this for years. Now that I got the gas tank out, it's time to try to do it right. So one of the things I don't like, I'll get underneath here, is especially right here, the wires right by the leaf spring shackle there. It's really tight in there. Okay, here's another shot of that. They're coming out of that. They poked a hole in that cover and it comes out right around. I put these cable ties on here because it was so close. Tried to get it away from there, but yeah, no, and then it goes through the receiver real tight in there. So I'm going to reroute this. I'm going to be cutting those wires and pulling them back through there. And I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Underneath the gas tank, it's got these steel plugs here. One, this is on the driver's side. And if you look at the, I don't know if you can tell, but you see all the dirt here. And then up here, it's kind of clean. So basically, you've got a pocket up here. So I'm gonna pop these out and run them through this hole right there. So that's on the driver's side. Then you go over to the passenger side. I'll do the same thing over here. It's got a plug. It's almost like it's made for it. Plug there and then through that hole. So you can see they did the same kind of thing over here. They poked a hole and then it's got all these sharp edges and yeah, it's just not, it's kind of scary. I don't like that. So we're going to clean this up. So this video is for people if you happen to be doing taking your gas tank out, or if you're putting a receiver hitch on, this might be the way to go. Okay, let me go up top. We'll look inside. Okay, we're back on the top side here. It's almost like they were, this is going to work out. I don't know if you can see this. I'm going to have to get a light. Hold on. Okay, so this is the driver's side, and you'll notice they've got these, should I get the light in the right place? You can see these all these holes here, so it's going to be real easy. The wiring is right there for the turn signals and everything. All right. So it's going to be real easy to do. Just pull this carpet back. Okay. And there's that plug right there. So we're talking, you know, a foot, maybe a little more than a foot. I'm just going to run the wires right along here. Pop that out. Okay, same thing on the other side. There it is. And it just goes right over to those holes. You can see it better. Big holes there, so you just run the wires right along here underneath the carpet and drop it through there. And then it's going to come out right there. Probably put some ties in here. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of all these butt splices, solder everything except for, I don't know what I'm going to do here because this is kind of short. May have to keep that one. Okay, one last thing. I did a modification on the bumper brackets. There's a lot of videos on YouTube where they say how to take the bumper off. Oh yeah, just take it off. Nobody ever talks about putting the bumper back on. Okay, so let me get the light. It's kind of hard to see out here. So I made a cutout on the outside of these brackets. Alright, so what you have to do, you know, when you go to put your bumper back on, if you do it this way, there's just two bolts A lot of guys take these 4 off. The problem with that is if you have a receiver hitch, imagine the bumpers on here. There's not much clearance to get up in there. How are you going to get those bolts back in with the receiver hitch? This is a draw tight. Pretty hard. So I think it's better if you can just take these 2 off and leave your brackets on. Okay, so it's kind of difficult, I think, to get this bolt started again. You know, you got to come up through here, your bumper's on there, got to come up through there and try to use a wrench and screw that in, thread it in there. So I made this cutout so I can hopefully squeeze my hand up in here with the bumper on and get this bolt started. That's what I'm hoping. And I made the cutout to the outside of the Jeep, so you don't want to put it on the inside if you've got a receiver hitch, or if you're thinking about getting a receiver hitch. It wouldn't do any good. You can't get your hand in there. Same thing on the passenger side. I cut those out, so hopefully I can get, hopefully this is going to work. I don't know. Alright, more later. Alright, so starting to show some progress here. So the driver's side, and painted the back a little bit. And passenger side, it's right up in there. So now I'm getting ready to put the plastic back in and carpet. There we go. Okay, may not look like it, but made quite a bit of progress on this. Probably looking at this going, it still looks horrible. So I've got a bunch of the wires. I've got this whole left side done. They're routed through here. New trailer plug. I'm gonna be mounting these boxes. Probably one here, maybe one over in here somewhere. So I really just have 3 wires left to do, I think. These 2 here, and then this one hanging down for the right side. I've got to reroute that. Same thing. Going up through here and then down. So what I'm really trying to do is, I eliminated a bunch of these. I hate these things. I think that's the quick and easy way to do things. You never use these, you just stick it on a wire or wires. That's how you connect 2 wires. You just put it on 2 wires, and then they've got these metal things and they just pierce the wire and clamp on there. But I've never liked these, so I eliminated all those. They had all those in here, so I cut the wires, soldered it, heat shrink, and then electrical tape. And any extra wire I might have, I can pull it back into the pocket and coil it up in there. So I'm thinking this should work. I hope so. Okay, more to come. Okay. So I think it's turning out better than it was, I hope. Everything will be tucked in behind the bumper. Nothing's gonna be moving around, flopping around. Everything's soldered. And then you got your trailer plug here, and then this will go on the bumper here somewhere. I still need to run 2 more wires from the fuse box. I started to run one, that blue wire. I don't know if you see it, but anyway, I got the blue wire most of the way done. Just got to run a black wire to the fuse box, and then I can put the bumper on and put the gas tank in, and I'm done. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm running the last two wires, a blue and a black wire. The blue wire is from the brake controller, and the black wire is to the fuse box, 12 volt power. Drilled some holes up along the frame rail, trying to keep this out of the way of the gas tank. So that's where your fill line goes through. Okay, so far it's just hanging down, so that's going to go to the plug for the trailer. Alright. Okay, here's the wiring on my fuel pump for a 92 Cherokee with the Bosch placement. I'll show the pump in a minute. So there's the ground wire. Now there's a plastic cover that's going to go on here. Covers that up. And I'm going to put some heat shrink tubing and I'm going to tie this all down. Okay, so brown wire goes to the red, that's your 12 volts, and black is the ground to the bracket there. Okay, I'll get a better shot of this when it's all done. Alright, there's the electrical cover. It just helps keep those wires on there, and then I'm going to slide that heat shrink over and put some heat to it. So this is a Bosch fuel pump, 1992 Jeep Cherokee, and it is the infamous 69302 Bosch. And everybody on the internet says this is not a drop-in replacement. It's not. The original Bosch fuel pump is much longer. So you've got these adapters, spacers, and there's zero instructions. Can't hardly find anything on the internet, and some of it is not correct. So I did find one picture on the internet, and that's what I went with. So that's how that goes on the top. You got this slot, your hose clamp goes there. This grommet has like slots in it that fit on it, and then the bottom grommet has some holes in it. Okay. Don't have very good light. So that's how I put mine in. And here's the top view, so I can get a good picture. I don't have very good light. Anyway, you can kind of see the electrical goes. I've got it towards the bracket there. I heat shrink tube on everything because I don't want this to come apart, and when you go to stuff this in, you got to have it kind of compact and tight so it'll fit. Okay, alright, I'm going to set this down now. My fuel gauge originally, when you fill it all the way up, would not ever go all the way to full. So the original float has a pinhole somewhere, and I couldn't find this online, so I bought a, I don't know how you say this, that Omix 88 part number. That's the part number I don't remember exactly who I bought this from. But anyway, this is a very common part you'll see on the internet, that white float. And I did some research, and people were putting these in anything from 1968 vehicles to 1996. It is not exactly the same. It's a little longer and it's a little bit bigger, so I had to bend out the hanger. But it's close. It should be close enough. I was concerned about the length because inside there's like a tray or a baffle, and that's pointing out. So if this hits, then I may have to bend this in. I think it'll be fine because it's so close that, I mean, we're talking 1/4 of an inch. I don't think it's that tight a fit. The other thing I could do is maybe turn it around, but then you got to worry about it hitting here. Okay, screen. Got that at O'Reilly's. That's the part number for the screen I got. And the brand, like I say, this is from O'Reilly's. So that's how I did it. I tried calling Bosch because there's no instructions on how any of these adapters or anything goes together, but a few other things people talk about is you have to grind the original cap. There's a couple of corners that need to come off right here. I can't see that. Anyway, you can kind of see where I just filed them off. I didn't use a grinder. Just file them off so that fits in there. Now you'll notice that bracket, it sits crooked. The whole thing is crooked. There's really nothing you can do. I try to push this down with my hand and get it. Oh, that's the other thing. There's a tang here. You got to push that down and get that in there and then tighten it down. I put a big flat washer on there too, but I personally would not over crank. Don't over tighten that. I mean, get it tight, but if you're trying to get that level, there's a good chance if you over tighten, you'll snap that thing off and then you'll be in trouble. So just FYI. Get it snug, but don't get crazy. That little thing has to be on there, of course. There's a piece in the gas tank that nipple fits into. Alright, I think this thing's ready to go back in. That's how I did it. Can't find any good videos on YouTube on these older Jeeps. I saw one, I think it's Nick and Time, and he had an 89, but he had, I don't know where he got his replacement, but his was the original style. You know, he had basically the original style whole unit. So, but anyway, these things are kind of a joke, I think. Alright, there we go. Okay, getting ready to hang the rear bumper. So I had to do a few things. This plastic piece broke all the little things off, and I tried to take them out, so I had to get new ones. So I had to drill out the bumper. The original holes were 3/16, and I drilled them out to 1/4 with a step bit. And at the hardware store, auto parts store, they had two different styles. This one here is for a 1/4 inch hole, and this one maximum of 3/8, but you can put it in a smaller hole because it, I don't know if you can see that, it expands. There you can see it. So I went with these, but they do have a smaller head on them than this one. But whatever. So I had to drill that out, and then I replaced these bolts. These came with these were Torx, and I broke 2 of them. And it's like a T27 head, which I had one impact, 1/4 inch impact head, and I broke that trying to take those rusted bolts out. So stainless steel, 1/4 20, stainless washer, stainless. I'm using Nylox, and these bolts are way too long. They're 1 inch. You could get by with probably 1/2 inch, but I didn't know when I was at the store. I couldn't remember how long I needed, so I knew 1 inch was plenty long. That's it. I cleaned it up with some citrus cleaner, which is just any generic citrus cleaner. That stuff works good on dirt or grease, and I painted it. So alright, we're going to throw this thing on. Okay, so one other issue I had is when I went to take the bumper off, I broke one of these clip nut things. And I had a heck of a time. I had to eventually cut it off, so I'm going to try to replace it with a standard bolt, and this is going to be challenging. So at the beginning of the video I talked about cutting this out, so now it's no moment of truth here. I'm going to have to try to get this bolt in here from underneath and somehow get a nut and washer on the back side. So okay, here we go. Wish me luck. Okay, my little bracket notching job worked out like a champ. I did have to put the bolt in with the nut on the bracket side. It was just a lot easier than trying to get the nut started. And then I took the end bumper cap off and the taillight lens. Okay, yeah, it worked great. On the other side, same thing, but the bolt goes in the other way. What I find is when you put these bumpers on, put your bottom bolts in first, and then get the top bolt, and then you may have to take the bottom bolt back out to move this to get your hand in here, but you always want to have something holding the bumper on it. You don't want it to fall on you. But yeah, it worked out fine. Okay. Hey, it's all back together. I think it looks a lot better.